All right, we're calling this meeting to order at 5 p.m. We do have a quorum, and we have a properly established agenda. At this point, we are going to adjourn to closed session pursuant to 2.C, pursuant to the Texas Government Code 551.074, personnel to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, including superintendent or board member, or to hear a complaint or charge against an officer or employee. And then also 2.D, pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.076, security devices or security audits, to deliberate the employment, deployment, or specific occasions for implementation of security personnel or device or security audit. So at 5:01, we are adjourned to closed session. Good evening, everyone. It is 6:05, and we are back now in open session. I appreciate everybody attending tonight. We'll first move on to item number 4, which is the invocation. I believe Chief Campbell is going to lead us in that. So if you would rise.
You would please pray with me. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for tonight. We thank you for the opportunity to come together as a district and as a community. We're just so grateful for our students. We're grateful for our teachers, also for all of our educators who are making decisions each and every single day for the betterment of our community and for our students. Lord, we just ask that you'd guide and direct us through the evening, that all of our decisions would be made based upon your will. I also ask that you'd guide and direct each and every single person next week, as it will be spring break. Just put your arms around every single member of the community and just be with them. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
All right, if you would remain standing, we have a couple of amazing kids from STEM Elementary, Charlie Vanderveer, who's a kindergartner, and Maggie Vanderveer, who's a third grader. Their parents are Megan and Joy Vanderveer. If you two lovely young ladies would come up here and help us lead the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the
I think we're going to stay, the board's going to stay up here for our swim team, who we're going to recognize. If you didn't know and haven't been paying attention, our swim team, they competed in UIL state competition back in February, and they did fabulous. If you're not following this team, definitely, this is one that you're going to watch. It's like the Olympics, Decatur size. I love it. It's so perfect. They're so wonderful. So anyway, I'm going to name our students one by one. They're going to come up and we'll do photos. So can I start with Zoe Burkhart? Kylie Barthold, Lainey Ballou, JC Oldenkamp, Liberty Dollins, JC Oldenkamp. Wait, do I have two? We've got some duplicates. Brooklyn Albaugh. Katie Martinez. Grant Arthur. Ace Maxfield. Max Vanderveer. Caleb McKee. Hagen Auberg, Preston Dollins. Joseph Delgado.
You're on time, oh my God.
And Joseph, we're going to get yours to coach. And then Coach John Capello.
Yep.
And I was trying to...
Miss Bartol.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let's get Ms. Barthold up here as well. Goodness. I have only seen maybe 100 of her Facebook posts, and so I can't believe I even forgot to say her name. And usually when I do this, I try to pull out a few students to highlight, but truly there were just so many fabulous competitors in this particular class that I really just didn't want to miss anybody. So really give yourselves a round of applause. Y'all did phenomenal.
Laura, I assume no. That's what I like. Thank you, swim team. Great season, as it has been the last few years, and can't wait till next year. It's going to be better, which is hard to do, but y'all will. Okay, we're going to move on to we don't have anyone for public forum that signed up, so we will skip item 7 and move on to item 8, the superintendent report. I'll turn it over to Ms. Williams.
All right, we have a long list under highly performing students, which is a blessing. If you haven't heard, our Lady Eagles basketball team won state again for the second year in a row. Our DHS Theater's one-act play In the Doorway advanced to by-district.
That's awesome.
They will compete again on March 25th. Both boys and girls soccer have also claimed the title of district champions.
Woo!
All 4 of our elementary campuses had UIL academic competitions last week. We have a lot of competition amongst this district, very competitive students, and they did everything from creative writing to chess, so we're super proud of those kiddos as well. And then we had several students across the ISD compete in the youth fair, which was all last week and into the weekend even. Both DHS and McCarroll FFA and 4-H students were well represented. I personally got to see the swine show, and it was a fun time. Lots of awesome ag mechanics projects out there on display as well. As far as community engagement goes, DHS SOAR is hosting a clothing drive right now that will benefit the crisis center here in town. And then the drive takes place through March 9th. So any gentle adult clothing, new socks or undergarments that you have, they'll gladly take those donations. We also had our annual Education Foundation donor breakfast and grant giveaway. It was an awesome day, lots of excited teachers, and the foundation awarded nearly $89,000 in grants that day, so it's huge. And then real quick, and he's actually here, I just saw him, maybe he's standing outside, but one of our SROs, Edgar Trejo at Young, received Officer of the Year with Decatur PD, and then William Brooks, who is also an SRO, received Newcomer of the Year. So we're proud of both of them. Oh, there he is. Congrats, Edgar. Edgar, congratulations.
Are you through with that?
Yes, we're good.
Okay. I just didn't want to interrupt you. You're on a roll. Okay, we're moving to item number 9, the consent agenda. And there are a number of items under there. Ms. Williams, do you want to talk about those? I'll be happy to if you want to. It's up to you.
As far as consent goes, it's, yeah.
Yeah,
unless
just there's a couple of items that we normally don't have under the consent agenda tonight. Yeah.
One of those is the election
Right.
between DISD and Wise County Elections Office for the May 2026 election. And then we also have the method of medical insurance purchasing on there, which is just showing how we'll go out for that. And then we also have an interlocal agreement with the city of Decatur for a tornado siren that will be housed at DHS near the Ag Barn. And then I think the rest of those things are kind of the usual consent business.
Yeah. Any discussion or questions amongst the board on any of those consent agenda items? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I recommend the board approve the consent agenda.
Have a motion from Chief Campbell. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second from Ms. Schneider. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The motion passes 6-0. Item number 10, discussion items. This is the strategic financial plan for 2025 through 2030.
All right, so y'all have to hang with me on this one. All of you should have a copy in front of you of the draft plan. And this is really just looking out not only at the things that we've done this year, but what we plan to do moving forward, and it's by department. And so obviously the last adopted balanced budget was in fiscal year 21-22, and so we've kind of gone back and looked at all the things to bring the long-term financial stability, look at fund balance in order to rebuild and maintain that, and then just the public's understanding of school finance as well, which we kind of did through the Finance 101 campaign. And so I do want to point out that as far as guiding principles, like the students first will always be kind of what guides our decisions. Obviously, everything needs to tie back to that. And so we looked at ways to positively impact the budget while also making sure that classroom instruction and student outcomes were still the highest priority, and they weren't, there was no sacrifices being made in that department. And then also just compliance, accountability, all of the things that we would typically look for. And so the 5-year plan, this year we really focused on just stabilizing and planning, looking at processes and procedures, trying to reduce the deficit, looking at policy controls within budgeting. And then we have kind of goals all the way out to 29-30 there. If you skip to the strategic actions page, talks about program and staffing review. These are all things that we've already done for this fiscal year, and even some of last year, which I think was reflected in the auditor's report on that we ended better off this year than we had in the past. And so we have adjusted sections, consolidated courses, attrition-based staffing. We've reduced central office FTEs by 1, reviewing of any allowable expenditures. One of the budget amendments you guys made last month was the electricity for the CAPE program, so looking at ways to adjust there. And then obviously the internal audits, that the CTE and staffing that we've done. If you go to, let's see, where we are going, attendance and enrollment stability, so still focusing on ADA. We are up, and there's graphs in there that you can look at where as of March 2nd, our annual attendance ADA is 95.79, which is the highest it's been since 21-22. So that's a big gain. Just a 1% difference makes a huge impact on the budget. And then we did include just a reminder, because this will go out to the public as well. This is the draft discussion, but the single missed day of school is about $70 a day. And so the importance of kids being in school and showing up, because all of those things also negatively impact the budget. And then enrollment, you can see there that 25-26 snapshot was also the highest we've been in a couple of years. We've kind of recovered back from where we were in kind of 22-23 year. And then right now, we don't know last day enrollment, but we ended last year with 3802, and then snapshot this year was 3819. So there may be We may be up a few kiddos there. We'll see how we end the year. And then we've talked a lot about staffing. We're not making any staffing moves until after spring break, looking at those high-need subject areas first, vacancies that we may have that we know need to be filled. And then we have the third-party staffing review that we're doing in comparison to 4 similar districts that have similar demographics, similar enrollment, and comparing ourselves to those to see where we sit in staffing to ensure we're not overstaffed. We also have the TIA application that we will apply for sometime in April. And then contract efficiencies. Gary and I have had a lot of conversations about insurance benefits, electric, fuel, going out and ensuring that we're receiving competitive prices on all of those things as well. Life cycle planning. Todd and Kyle have both been a huge part of ensuring that that happens with student transportation and technology devices as well. Let's see, I've already talked about the Finance 101 and the community education piece. If you switch, we can get, I'll just touch on some of the highlights of the departments. Department of Teaching and Learning, the special programs that we had 227 students, and so by internalizing some assessments and reporting, we were able to save some money there. We have GT curriculum, replacing vendor-based testing that has saved some money. Subscription renewals, we did that program review last year, and so they cut back on some of the digital programs that we had in subscriptions, tried to streamline as much of that as possible. And then the CTE piece of it, looking at funding and how students are coded to ensure that we're maximizing those as well. As far as HR goes, we have built partnerships with TW and UNT, trying to get as many student teachers in to ensure on the retention and our talent pipeline. We know that turnover does cost the district money as far as HR goes, retraining people and all of that. So trying to get people here and get them to stay as well, so we don't have high turnover that in essence also costs money. The LASSO grant, Mr. Lackey applied for that and has been to trainings and things, and we were approved to launch a teacher residency and mentorship program for next year, which would all be fully funded through that LASSO 4 grant. So shout out to Mr. Lackey. Substitute pay, that's was a question that I wanted to be sure to address. We have saved about $12,000 in substitute pay in comparison to this time last year. So it's not a huge difference. We were hoping maybe the 4-day week there'd be a little more savings in that department, but right now we're sitting at about $12,000. We also increased sub pay though, so I think that's an important note to make, that we upped the sub pay. So that may have been a little bit more actually, but we're paying them more too, which I think is also helping retain quality subs. And I'll give Mr. Lackey another shout out. They have, Stephanie and Lana and him have trained, I think, are we up to like 80?
We've done 110.
Okay, 110 substitute.
90 actively subbing.
Yeah. Oh, do you know what we started with?
It's always been right around the 100 mark, but the activity has been the key. We've got about 70 to 80 active leads that are subbing for us on a weekly basis. So I know that's higher than we have in the past.
Let's see. All right, if you want to go to safety and security, information there about the grants. So Safe Cycle 1 grant that the district received was around $350,000. That had DHS updates, fencing, the window film, the silent alert technology that was required by the state, and then elementary schools had updated hardware. The remaining balance that we have on Safe Cycle 1 is about $38,000. And then Safe Cycle 2, that grant was $198,000. That was radio communication updates, camera maintenance, mapping, the breaching tools that were required, and then the ballistic shields, door signs. There's about $50,000 left in that. So the remaining grant, we have around $89,000 left between those two grants. Skipping to technology, obviously we've talked a lot about the federal E-rate program that we may qualify for around $600,000 to use to help offset some of the upgrades that we need to make in technology as well. And then cost reduction and life cycle replacement, looking at ways that we can maybe replace devices through like 9 through 12, allowing seniors to get those devices to keep that 4-year life cycle because they last about 4 to 5 years. So looking at creative ways there to, for Todd to keep up with those devices. And then Department of Maintenance and Operations, the 4-day week, I did include some data there for you guys to have. About 18.5 decrease in water usage just at DHS alone. That was just kind of a figure we can figure out each campus as well, but that was to give an idea. So around 13,000 in savings there. And then about $12,000 reduction across the 4 campuses with HVAC. And then we've dropped about 17,000 in fuel cost because we're driving, routes about 1 less day a week. We've canceled, so Kyle and his crew, they've cut back on the athletic field fertilizer contracts, and we're doing all of those things in-house now, which saved the district about $28,000 this year. And then they've also gone through storage facilities, and they have auctioned items that recovered around $14,000 in just items that were sitting in storage that we were able to auction. And then recovered about $50,000 of some compressors, heaters, and things like that that can be used, which prevent us from having to purchase those things new. So added to our inventory, which was a good thing. And then Department of Communications, obviously what we just announced with the Education Foundation, that's huge. 89,000 going back into the classroom is that much less that's coming out of the district's M&O budget, but still supporting classroom instruction. And then they've looked at enrollment committees and really looking at marketing our district and getting students to enroll here. She also has about 6,100 that has been put back to the general fund. That also kind of ties into the conversation about just because it's in your budget doesn't mean it has to be spent. Having that, we put it in there in case you need it, but don't spend it just for the sake of spending. So we're having those conversations as well within the senior leadership team and across our campuses. And then the last one is just kind of wrapping up the overall plan and whatever questions you guys have. Anything you feel like we're missing, that we need to work towards?
I like this document.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
It's pretty thorough, so, you're hitting on all areas, so that's what we gotta do. Oh, okay, thank you. That was good. I think a lot of people have been having that question about where are we going forward and how are we going to work towards a balanced budget and then to a surplus, and we will get there. All right, we're going to move on to item number 11, the action items, which is 11A, consider and take possible action regarding the memorandum of understanding with Helen Farabee Center's Substance Abuse Services. And it's all yours.
Okay. Well, Dr. Weber's supposed to be up here, and she passed these off to me. So Helen Farabee is a substance abuse service center, and so the purpose of this agreement is to establish a working relationship with us for comprehensive systems of care for our adolescent individuals that are identified as having a substance abuse disorder. And so this agreement just outlines the responsibilities between Decatur ISD and the Helen Farabee Centers of Substance Abuse Services. So we really basically just need an approval of this memorandum of understanding with Helen Farabee for the 25 through 27 school years.
Mr. President, I recommend the board approve the memorandum of understanding with Helen Farabee Centers Substance Abuse Services until academic year 27.
I have a motion from Dr. Joyner. Do I have a second? Second. A second from Chief Campbell. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The motion passes 6-0. Thank you, Ms. Boatright, for good filling in.
Okay, thank you. The second one that I have is the interlocal agreement that is an instructional partnership agreement between Decatur ISD and the University of Texas at Austin with reference to our on-ramps program. We offer 2 on-ramps courses at the high school, college algebra and pre-calculus. And so it outlines the responsibilities of each party in providing the on-ramps classes at DHS. And this interlocal agreement is actually for this current year. At the beginning of the year, with all the transition between all the positions, this one got kind of lost in the shuffle, and so it is on our radar now and will be updated every year in the summer when we do the Weatherford College and Tarleton ones. And so we just need an approval of the interlocal agreement between Decatur ISD and the University of Texas at Austin.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I recommend the board accept and approve the terms of the interlocal agreement between Decatur ISD and the University of Texas at Austin.
Have a motion from Ms. Schneider. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second from Dr. Joyner. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. 11C, consider and take possible action regarding hazardous transportation route West Business 380. This was something we discussed at the last board meeting, and obviously we're looking out for the safety of our students. And so this is to be able to bus, I think it's approximately 20 students that are impacted by having to cross over on Business 380 to go on to Deer Park, getting to Rand. So this will allow them to ride the bus over if they choose to do so, and hopefully eliminate that hazardous situation. So I know we talked about it last board meeting, but is there any other further discussion?
Have they started that yet?
Go ahead, Kyle.
Come on up.
Right after the last board meeting, is it green card?
Red.
Red. Right after the last board meeting, we made immediate adjustments for the students that were playing Leapfrog, but not for all the 20 students. Yeah.
So when will this start?
As soon as it's approved, we can start, or we have letters ready to go to notify all the parents. Yeah.
Good. I recommend the board approve the hazardous transportation route for West Business 380.
Have a motion from Mr. Bayless. Do I have a second?
I second.
Have a second from Ms. Schneider. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. 11D, consider and take possible action regarding the Lone Star Sports Radio Network broadcast agreement. You want to give us some color on that?
So this is a familiar group, Lone Star Sports Radio. They were even just at our state championship game. They broadcast a lot of big events for us, and we're super thankful for their partnership. And this is just really a formality to have an official agreement between the district and them. And if anything were to happen, like a copyright violation or anything like that during the broadcast, it would just protect the district in that situation.
I don't currently have an attachment. Do you?
Right here?
I don't think we had actually received the actual
Oh, gotcha,
contract.
okay.
And
We
don't
can table it for next time if
You
we
wanna-
need
I-
to.
yeah.
And Rob, but prior to it was kind of a one-page document, but I don't think it was on file here. And so we can send that out and we can put it on the,
Yeah, we'll put it on next month's
Yeah.
agenda, yeah. Okay. All right. 11E, consider and take possible action regarding a resolution for Decatur ISD authorizing administrative response to winter weather. Mr. Lackey.
Thank you, President Schultz. As you know, in early February, we had a winter storm, and as winter storms go, that lady, it was a booger. I mean, that winter storm brought ice and snow, all kinds of stuff. And I want to commend our just amazing team, our maintenance team, our custodial team, communications, all of the things that it took, not only during the storm, but really preparing for the storm. Our safety security director, Riley Messler, just all of the information he was giving us, and that we were able to make decisions. And then when, especially the day of, when we were having to adjust bus routes, our bus drivers were ready to go. Everybody was planned and ready for it. And so the preparation beforehand was great. And then we, like I said, that storm hit us, and then we were off for 4 school days. And so in doing that, we bring to you today some things that we have to do administratively that the board has to approve for us. And there's a resolution in front of you that will do 3 things. 1, it will authorize the superintendent to petition the Commissioner of Education for a waiver of the number of minutes of instruction to accommodate all time lost. The second thing it will do is that at-will employees not on unpaid leave, they will be paid at their prevailing hourly or daily wage according to the duty schedule they otherwise would have worked for any school days that was closed during the winter weather emergency. And then the last is at-will employees that were required to otherwise or authorized to work on days when school was closed. And we did have some employees in Mr. Mazak's department were able to come up here and obviously take care of some buildings, take care of some pathways, take care of some parking lots, some sidewalks that needed to be sanded, a lot of things that needed to be ready for when we were ready to start back. They did a great job with that. So this will also give them, those employees that came up, they will be paid at a premium rate at a time and a half. So they'll get overtime. So that is what the resolution in front of you is doing for those 3 things.
Anybody with questions or discussion for Mr. Lackey or amongst ourselves? Okay. If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve the resolution of the Decatur ISD authorizing administrative response to winter weather.
I have a motion from Ms. Alvarez. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Chief Campbell. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. 11F, consider and take possible action regarding transfer students for Decatur High School for the 2026-2027 school year.
Okay, I want to give you some background on the transfer. I think the last board meeting, you had requested information about the transfer because we had talked about opening up transfers for Decatur High School. And so Dr. Weber prepared some data and a presentation. So I'm going to go through that for you. Sorry. All right. First of all, I'm going to go through the current transfer policy. So the current one, if someone changes residency, a transfer student changes residency during the school year, if they are a senior, they remain at DHS to finish out the year. Pre-K through 11 remain for the semester and then have to fill out the transfer paperwork to request staying. Any transfer requests are granted for 1 school year at a time. The transfer conditions are based on availability of space, instructional staff, the student's academic record. We look at STAR and were they passing all their classes in the previous year, disciplinary history, and a student's attendance records. And then the revocation policy right now is we are authorized to revoke any transfer at any time if the student or parent violates the transfer guidelines or criteria, if a safety concern arises, or if a campus no longer has available capacity. So we get students who live in the district and we're required to put them in our schools, then we could revoke a transfer at that point. What is the current campus impact? Well, at Carson, that's our largest elementary campus. Ennis right now has a separate enrollment and transfer process. RAN, of course, has the bilingual programming, so all bilingual students that qualify for bilingual are attend RAN. And then Young has our life skills special education programming. Middle school, of course, is closed due to capacity for the last 4 years. and DHS has been closed for the last 2 years. Here are the total transfer student numbers by grade level. The green dots signify the lowest grade levels of transfer students. The red dots signify the largest numbers of transfer students, grade levels. And so if the discussion, the action item is going to refer to the high school, so if you'll look carefully at the high school right now in 9th through 12th grade, we have about 40 students, a little less than 40 transfer students. All right, inter-district transfer students. So these are just, those could be any students moving from elementary school to elementary school. The slide previous, these are just inter-district transfer students, so they're coming in from outside. And so therefore, we've also got your pre-K and 7th grade are the lowest, 2nd and 3rd grade are the highest for this category. Now, you also asked about our homeschool UIL participation. Right now, we have 6 approved homeschool participants, and we don't have any that are in the process. All right, at STEM, all students at STEM are transfer students. They are either inter-transfers coming from outside the district or intra-transfers that are within the elementary schools. So special consideration is given to siblings of current STEM students and students of the current STEM staff. Now, our proposed changes for intra-district transfers would be to open DHS to transfers for 26-27 next school year. The STEM enrollment process would be aligned with the Decatur ISD transfer policy, meaning rather than transfers being accepted on the STEM campus, those come through the central administration office just like any other transfer. And then special consideration would be given to siblings and children of staff members. And then the last thing would be to accept transfers during a specific window. That would be March 23rd through May 1st. That way we can plan for personnel and locations. The current campus availability, right now Carson has 9 spots available, Ennis has 5 spots available. Rand, it really depends on the programming there because of the bilingual. Young has 3 spots available. Middle school and high school is dependent on the programming, and what that means is that we would look at what courses those students are enrolled in when they transfer in, and do we have room in those courses or grade levels? Because if a student comes in and they are part of the health science programming, we may not have room in a classroom for them. So we want to make sure we have room for our students that live in the district first. All right, future campus considerations. STEM enrollment processes following the district transfer policy. Rand's going to remain bilingual programming, Young life skills programming. Carson's the largest elementary campus, so we have to consider all of those things. We recommend that middle school, of course, remain closed due to capacity. And then we want to open DHS to those inter-district transfers based on capacity, staffing, and resources. So we will highly consider, it's going to be very strategic placing those high school students, because you also consider UIL, what is the word I'm looking for? Yes, eligibility, and the 4A, 5A, yes, all of those. The alignment, thank you, that was the word I was looking for. You also consider UIL alignment. Okay, any questions?
Can I ask, going back to the homeschool programming, have you gotten any feedback from any of the UIL coaches, teachers?
I haven't heard from the coaches. I think I'll probably send something out requesting information from those that have had homeschool students. I did receive some information back. I've had lots of, well, we've probably had 20 people contact me about going through the process. There were some pieces that they were not happy with in our, requirements. One being to initially join UIL side-by-side rules say that you have to have a standardized test score that has to be comparable to the grade level. And so many parents put their kids in a homeschool situation to avoid standardized testing. And so some have not been very happy with that process. That's a state requirement, yes. And it's really been around the eligibility issue, because the other big complaint that I've had is that we require grade checks every 3 weeks. And so some parents are saying that their kids don't receive grades for their homeschool curriculum, so therefore, how are they supposed to come up with grades? And so we talk through that process. But if they philosophically do not agree, then they don't go forward with the process. So those are the two big issues that I've encountered, which are both state requirements. Nothing that we can do about that.
Okay, and then are we advertising that? Are we trying to do any type of, I don't want to say recruitment, but,
I know what you're talking, communication about it.
Communications to any of the homeschool co-ops, anything like that within
At this
DISD?
point, we have not. I think one of the focuses this year has been working out the kinks. We have found some kinks, and so we have to have ourselves in alignment. And so I'm working on realigning some of the expectations, realigning some of the processes, because we found where there's some stop gaps, and we've had to go back and pick some things back up. And so in redoing all of those things after spring break, I think if that's something that you feel like we need to do, start advertising, that's something certainly we sure can do.
And then can you tell me, off the top of your head, do you know what those homeschool students are involved in?
We have a lot in baseball right now. I know we have.
There's one in soccer, I know.
We have one in golf, we've had a couple in soccer, and we have some in baseball. Those were the big areas right now.
Anything like theater, choir,
No,
any of that?
No arts or academic UIL right now.
Is that available?
Academic UIL, as far as not courses they can come and take, because there was that confusion. Academic UIL refers to the academic teams, for example, feature writing, where they go to the competitions. So there have been no one expressing interest. When people call, I make sure I clarify those things when I give them the information, because I send them 3 pieces of information, and that's one of the pieces that I send, making sure they understand what they could qualify for if they want to participate. And then fine arts, we've had no one. One other thing that some of the homeschool parents have expressed frustration with is the fact that we would expect you to come to class during that period because they take vacations on their own time, which I'm not bashing at all. They have that privilege of taking vacations during, whenever they want. They would just have to plan ahead and work around the season. I think with us starting when we did, now we're working forwards for the next year, and things are, they'll know when they can plan those vacations and things like that.
I was going to say, if we do some sort of communication
Yes.
stating these are the season dates.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Well, that's a good idea. I can do that too.
Thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome.
For DHS, we say open to interdistrict transfers based on capacity. Is that based on like the TEA capacity for recommended for where we are? Because isn't our TEA at like 1173 is what the high school is? And we're at, and we're at 11, what was it, 20, you had it a while ago, 1124? So do we just, is that our, like our threshold we're setting? That's our capacity number, is it 1173, I think?
For the building capacity, you mean?
Yeah, the TA, I think, functional capacity.
Yes, and also, I think even more than that is classroom space, like Debbie said, because even at that number, I don't want to max out teachers. Like, I think we would look at the space in the classroom first, because we don't want, we're working towards smaller class sizes is the ultimate goal.
Right.
And so I think when she talks about programming, we do have certain programs or certain classes that may have 10 students. And so in those, we could, add more. That would be a benefit. But yeah, in some of the other like core subjects, we would be looking at class size first before even, to me, facility. Because there's a big difference in how many kids you can fit in a building versus like making sure that the instruction isn't sacrificed just for the sake of accepting a transfer. And we've had all those conversations, Debbie and Dr. Weber and I, about, and Tammy obviously would be a part of that, looking at the scheduling and knowing, all classes are different too. All groups of students are different. Sometimes different grade levels are, so you've got to know the class to know if that would work or not.
How many, I know that would be a case-by-case basis. So what are we talking about? How many spots do we have open at the high school?
At the high school, it really is dependent on the programs, because it may be, like right now, we have about 20 kids in each grade level that are transfer students that either started with us or are personnel or have siblings. And so that's something to consider. I mean, we may open it up, advertise it, and have 100 people apply. Of course, we wouldn't be able to fit 100 people as transfer students. So then you start having to make decisions on what programming, looking specifically. We were in a health science classroom today, and they are in almost an office space, and she had probably 15 kids in there in the office space area, and she was holding class. And so, like, that is not a class. If you wanted to be in that practicum class, that would not be possible. And so if it's a freshman English class, or if it is an Algebra 1 class, we're not going to make space for you if it's going to be a 35 student classroom. That's not what's best for kids. And number one, we are about what's best for kids. So.
I mean, it looks like all the guardrails have been put in to take this on a case-by-case basis. We want the public to understand we're not just opening the doors and ollie income free. So it's going to be on a case-by-case basis. We do not want to overwhelm our teachers. But we do have some capacity in certain areas to take some additional students. So
Correct. It's going to be very strategic. We're going to have to look very carefully at each case individually.
And how much do we get per student? 61?
So, if you took in another 50 students, if that, I'm
That
just
would
throwing
be
that
nice.
number out. I'm not saying that's, you do the math, that's
And one of the
$300,000.
reasons I talked about the revocation is we could revoke if capacity came in and we, for some reason, we approved, 50 transfer students, and then we had 50 students enroll new that lived in our district, we would have to make some decisions about who, revoking some of those transfers, because our students, of course, take priority.
Okay. Any other questions for Ms. Boatright? Thank you. Thank you. At this time, then, I would entertain a motion, or if we wanted further discussion amongst ourselves, obviously.
Mr. President, I recommend the board approve opening DHS to inter-district transfers for the 2026 and 2027 school year.
Have a motion from Chief Campbell. Do I have a second?
A second.
Have a second from Ms. Schneider. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. 11G, consider and take possible action regarding new contract forms. Ms. Williams, you want to discuss that?
So this is a new contract package, and, oh, you can.
Or Mr. Lackey.
No,
I mean,
Mr. Lackey, now
whichever.
you have to go up there. Stan called me out. So
I
was
didn't
gonna-
see you walking up there. I'm sorry.
It's because he's posing as Weber tonight.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
posing, yes, I'm posing. So, I was coming to present on the new contracts. These are something that Ms. Williams, and not just us, but obviously we're working is to streamline all our processes and procedures and to look at things that help us function better as a district. And one of the things that I've learned in my short stint in the role that I'm in, and the conversations that when we call TASB, and I call TASB and talk to them about situations, whether it may be with contract or personnel, they most 99% of the time before I get off the phone will say, check with your school attorney. Well, thank you, TASB. We'll check with our school attorney. So when we talk about our contracts, we wanted to be consistent, and this is a package that our school attorney, these are the contracts that they recommend and that they suggest that we use, and you have those in front of you. Same style of contracts that TASB does. They're probationary contracts, they're term contracts. There is one in there, it's a little different, called an employment agreement that Dr. Weber and myself are on. The purpose of the contracts obviously is to give the school district flexibility, but also to give the school district consistency with the wording and how we do things. And then when we call our attorneys, these are their contracts. So when we have that communication, we'll be speaking the same language. Ms. Williams, anything I missed on that? Or?
Yeah, so like you said, in the past, we've used the TASB contract package. This is actually the Eichelbaum contract
Yes.
package. And they are our legal counsel. They've also are typically quicker to update things from a legislative session, so there are a lot of additional pieces in these contracts that address some of the laws and regulations that came out in the 89th session. And so, any questions about contracts? And then next board meeting will be so this is just the package. Next board meeting will be the actual employee contracts.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lackey. Thank you, Ms. Williams. The dynamic duo. Okay, do we have any discussion about this? If not, I'm entertaining a motion.
I recommend the board approves the use of these contract forms.
I have a motion from Mr. Bayless. Do I have a second? Second from Ms. Alvarez. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries 6-0. Move on to item number 12, 12A, the middle of the year 2025-2026 map data overview. Ms. Kaufman, wife of our new state champions. Repeat. Yes. I'm sorry, I've left that part out. And the mom of two amazing players. I was going to say, that was tense. I think the crowd watched you as much as they watched the players. You're fairly animated.
Red? Okay. This is the middle of the year data. It's not just MAP data. I've also included the pre-K data, which is Circle PM. These assessments are given beginning, middle, and end of the year. You're also going to see the words fall and winter because those are the words that MAP uses. So basically our focus is growth. We're looking at individual student growth. We want all students to grow. Here is pre-K Circle PM, beginning of the year on the left, middle of the year on the right. This is the early literacy skills screener, the phonological awareness, and you can see that overall we made a lot of growth. We went from 43% to 68% making adequate progress. It's MAP, so I don't want to confuse you, but it's making adequate progress. So lots to celebrate with pre-K. Here is their math screener that's testing the early numeracy skills. Again, beginning of the year on the left, middle of the year on the right. And you can see that we went from 79% at the beginning of the year to 89% middle of the year. So our pre-K teachers are doing great things. Now we will move on to the NWEA MAP growth assessment. This is given to kinder through 12th grade students in the areas of math, reading, and science. And so math will give us two different scores. It will give us an achievement score, which is where the kids are performing academically right now. And then it will give us a growth score that is the comparison from fall to winter. It gives them a growth projection, and then it tells us how many kids met that growth projection. So this is math as the district as a whole. You'll see the growth at the top, and then you'll see the achievement below. You'll see the fall on the left and the winter on the right. Those yellow, green, and blue students are considered on track. So if you look at it, 71% of our students are on track as far as achievement. And then the average growth is 53%. And this map will tell you that 50% is normal. That's typical growth. The students in the blue are your highest growth kids. The students in your red are the lowest growth kids. And I'm going to break growth down for you in just a few slides. So this is math overall. Here's kindergarten and first grade math. Kindergarten has 74% students on track. First grade has 75% of the students on track. You look at second and third grade math. Second grade has 70% of our students on track. Third grade, 81%. Stop me if you have a question. If you look at fourth and fifth grade, this is math. 76% of our fourth graders are on track, and fifth grade is 70%. Sixth grade, 76% are on track. Seventh grade, 61% are on track, and eighth grade is 50%. Algebra 1, now remember some of our 8th grade students take the Algebra 1 test, and so 8th grade Algebra 1, 86% of them are on track. 9th grade Algebra 1, 55% are on track. Algebra 2. Algebra 2 grade 10 grew from 18% on track to 27% on track. And then the 11th grade grew from 6% to 26%. When you look at geometry, the growth, or the achievement median is that 65% for 9th grade and then 61% for 10th grade. So that is above average. So when I was talking to Ms. Williams, she said, well, how many kids met their growth projection? And I was like, I don't know. That's something that I need to look into. So what I did was I dug around, ran a report by campus, by grade level, that will tell you how many kiddos actually met their growth projection. So like you'll see Carson Elementary Kindergarten, 40 students met their growth projection, so that's 63% of the grade level. So most of our elementary grade levels grew, or most of them, 55 to 78% of the kids met their growth projection. When you look at the secondary math, it varies, but you can see that 9th grade Algebra 1, 70% of the kids met their growth projection. Any questions about math? Okay, reading. Here is the district overall reading. As a district, sorry, my notes are not showing up on the bottom of the slide, so I'm having to. As a district, 74% of our kiddos are on track. When you look at kindergarten and first grade, kindergarten, 73% are on track. First grade, 79%. Second and third grade, second grade, 68%. Third grade, 80%. Fourth and fifth grades, this is reading. Fourth grade is 79% on track. Fifth grade is 73% on track. Sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. Sixth grade, 69% of our students are on track. Seventh grade, 62%. Eighth grade, 74%. Ninth and 10th grade. If you look at ninth grade, there's 77% on track. 10th grade, 84% on track. 11th and 12th grade, 11th grade, there's 57% of our students on track. 83% in 12th grade are on track. And then our bilingual students at RAN, kindergarten, first and second grade, take the Spanish reading map assessment. And so here are their results. Kindergarten, there's 77% on track. First grade, 80% on track. Second grade, 67% on track. And then again, here are the numbers of the students who met their growth projection that MAP gives them. It compares their RIT score from the fall to their RIT score in the winter, and then it makes sure they meet the target it gives them. It gives them all, like, you need to be here by the winter, and so this is the number of kids that met that. And so again, you can see, if you look at Young Elementary, fifth grade, there's 45 kids who met their growth target projection, and that's 75% of the grade level. Any questions about reading? Here is science. Only our upper grades, 4th and 5th, and then 6th, 7th, and 8th, and then high school take the science exam. So 4th grade science, 77% of our students are on track. 5th grade, 79%. 6th grade, 81%. 7th grade, 70%. Did I say that right? 7th grade, 70%. 8th grade, 79%. And then in high school, 9th grade is 80%. 10th grade is 42%. And then here are the number of students who met their winter growth projection. Any questions about science?
Why the drop in science in 10th? Do you have any thoughts on that? The 42%.
Well, it depends on the number of kids, because it's really, in high school, it's a biology assessment. So it depends on which kiddos are in that course.
You said 50 is the average?
Mm-hmm. According to MAP, yes, or NWEA.
Even for biology?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So let me show you something very interesting. So MAP will give us an early indicator of STAR performance. And so it will give us a STAR projection so that we're able to identify the kiddos that might need additional support before the actual state assessment gets here. And so here are the STAR projections according to NWEA MAP. Here's each campus, elementary campus, what they scored in 24, what they scored in 25, and then what MAP says they could possibly be in 26. And then here is McCarroll and DHS. And if you look at the biology, it doesn't correlate. So
So, Lynn, I have a question for you on this, and it may be too early to tell because we haven't taken a star yet on the map yet, but in years past, we had the CBAs, right? And the CBAs, every meeting we had, the CBAs, we were doing great. They always outperform where we would be, and then we get the star results, and they were never where we thought that they would be. So do we think that this information is more accurate, or?
I've discussed that with several people because some of our grade levels have also taken the interim star, which is a practice star test, and it doesn't necessarily match up with the star projections that MAP gives us. And so with it being our first year, we really don't know how accurate they really are. And that's where we've talked about, you just got to know your kids. You got to look at what they do daily. You've got to look at, how they participate. They don't participate in class, their grades. But what we have done is on February 13th, we took these results from the middle of the year. We had a data protocol where the teachers and the principals, the campus staff could identify the students who needed interventions or who need enrichments. And so what it'll do is it'll group your kiddos in high achievement, high growth, high achievement, low growth, low achievement, high growth, and low achievement, low growth. And so from that, it plots all the kids, and we were able to make groups. We were able to connect it to a instructional area that they need. And so hopefully we have been intervening very strategically and very intentionally, and these will be accurate, or will perform better than what they project. But it being our first year, we really don't know how accurate they are. It's kind of a learning curve for all of us.
I will say, and Tara may, when we're talking to other districts, they did see the correlation. Those that had used MAP for several more years, they said it was pretty, and MAP, will say that as well. But yeah, I don't know if y'all heard her, but they've published a study that says they have over 90% accuracy in comparison to how they perform on MAP with that indicator and STAR.
So does that mean that the MAP data for science is not, is that taken from STAR or from released STAR questions, or?
So the 10th grade, is that what you're talking about? So there's not a STAR
biology
test for 10th grade.
Okay.
Biology is the last time they're tested in science in high school, so I would say that that is likely the correlation, is that they don't have a chemistry STAR test, so science for those upper grades does look different, and there is no STAR outside of past 9th grade. They end with biology.
There's a lot to be proud of if these numbers, and I know we're not going to hold you to them. So, but the one that stands out with me is 8th grade math, just because of the trajectory that we're seeing. Do we think there's anything? I'm sure there's things that I'm not the only one to notice that.
Brandy's waving her hand.
So,
Lana, if you want to tag her in.
Someone help me, please. Because I figured there's an explanation. Here comes Brandy.
We have.
Ms. Schisler's like, I'm gonna address that.
So a big deal is calculators. So MAP says not to use calculators. Our kids on the fall test, our SPED kids got them in 6th and 7th grade. But in 8th grade, because the state says that all 8th graders get a calculator, we remove calculator accommodation from our SPED kids. So then those kids who have normally had it don't get it because everyone gets one. And so accommodations are for kids who need something different. Plus, on STAR, our 8th graders get to use a calculator. MAP tells us not to use a calculator. So our students in the fall, algebra kids got a calculator, but in winter they didn't. And then all of our 8th grade students have not had a STAR or have not had a calculator for either of the tests. So
Gotcha. I figured there was a reason, and when you came running down here, I knew there was a reason, so, and like, I can't wait to explain this to them, so, okay, all right, I just was checking. Thank you.
And so we met with each campus principal and talked about, you know, what went well, what didn't go well, what do we need to clarify, what can we improve for next time. And accommodations is one of those things that we are going to have to clarify so that we're all on the same page. And so everybody gets the same or everybody doesn't get the same. So that is something that we're going to work on clarifying. The way the test is administered is something that we're going to clarify. So like I said, it is a learning curve. We are meeting with principals tomorrow to talk about the plan that they created on February 13th and how's it going and how do you know. And so hopefully we'll offer more insight tomorrow.
That's exciting. I mean, just at least we have we're doing what we can to hopefully intercept some of these things before we get to STAR. So we'll find out.
Yes, hopefully so. And the last thing is we will have this data again at the end of the year, April 27th to May 14th, and then May 4th to May 14th. So I'll be back with a end of the year report.
I look forward to it.
So,
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kaufman.
And yeah, I want to give Lana a shout out because she has spent hours and she's the fastest spreadsheet maker I've ever known. But she's dug, 5 years back even to look at trends and to look for, our principals are, putting out fires all day long and they have a lot. And so she's taken time and given them resources and reports that they don't typically, maybe have time to do. And also learning a system all at the same time. We're all learning MAP still. But her and Tara have both really dug into the program and been a huge resource to staff. So we appreciate what y'all have done. There she is.
Thank you. All right, moving on, 12B, homeschool participant numbers and transfer overview. I was going to say, so we can just skip that, right? Yeah. Got it. You got all your information now? You can leave me alone now? I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay, 12C, Special Education Programming Annual Update. Ms. Terrell.
Good evening. So this program's update is in regards to Senate Bill 568, Section 290012, which established an annual meeting on special education programming. So special programs encompasses special education, 504, and dyslexia. Tonight we're going to focus on the special education aspect of it. Just giving you some of the demographics, our current population based on snapshot was 3819. Our SPED population was 719. Breaking that down, looking at students that were served through dyslexia is 107, because at the end of May of 2025, all students receiving dyslexia services had to be served through special education, where previously they were served through 504. And that gives us our percentage of SPED population at 18.8%. A little information from the state. The state at the end of 24-25 was currently at 15.5%. But they noted since 2017 to 18 school year, there's been a 72% increase in SPED population across the state. Looking at our instructional settings, this is the time spent in the type of special education setting. We have anywhere from speech therapy, where that's the only service they're receiving, mainstream, where they're sitting in a gen ed classroom, receiving accommodations, maybe inclusion support. And then we have two types of resource settings, depending on how much they're in the resource setting versus how much they're in the gen ed classroom, and then the same for our self-contained. Depending on how much they're out in the gen ed setting depends their percentage. A little bit on our staffing. We currently have 32 special education teachers, 39 special education paraprofessionals, 4 related service providers. We contract out for 6 positions, including speech, OT, or occupational therapy, physical therapy, and vision impairment. And then our evaluation staff, we have 7 direct district hires, and then we contract 3 areas in our psychological evaluations, our bilingual evaluations, and our bilingual speech evaluations. This is just showing the increase in our SPED enrollment since 2023, and I apologize, the numbers didn't come across. 2023, we had 644, 2024, we had 664, and then 2025, we turned in 719. The programs and services that we provide, we have inclusion support, resource, PASS, which is our behavior classrooms, life skills at the elementary, and then life skills at the secondary. And then we have our 18+ program with students who are extending their school year through age 22. From our academic achievement, grades 3 through 8, this is pulling from STAR. Each year we get results-driven accountability, or RDA, comes in, and so this is gathered from that was presented, that we received in November. So if you look from 2023 to 2025, you can tell that math is obviously an area we need to focus on. We're down from 2024. Reading, we're maintaining pretty well. Science, we had a big increase, and social studies was up. And then our EOCs, the same thing, looking at Algebra 1, Biology, U.S. History, and English 1 and 2. And again, math is an area that we are focusing on and working on. And I mentioned the results-driven accountability system. They give us a determination each year, and so you can get anywhere from a DL1 to a DL4, and there's different requirements that go with that. The past 3 years, we have received a DL1, which meets requirements. And then currently, we are in our TE cyclical review. They do this every 6 years. We began ours in January of 2026. We submitted 16 folders for review, and they are in the process of looking at those folders. We will get our findings report by the end of April. And then tying it to our strategic goals, supporting students in a multitude of ways to nurture learning and ensure high performance. Our special education teachers, like Ms. Kaufman talked about, the NWEA MAP data and looking at that, our SPED teachers are digging in and looking at that as well, and looking at where we can help impact our students in special education to show growth. Goal number 2, investing employees and invest in their growth to ensure highly effective and engaged staff. TEA came out in 2022 with a TEA standards-based IEP training, and we have focused really hard on making sure all of our teachers have gone through that training. It's focused on writing PLAFs and measurable goals, and we've had all but 2 of our teachers at this time who have completed that training. And then goal 3, fostering relationships with students and families and community members. Kind of to highlight our ACTS program, which is the 18+ program. We have a group of students that work in the afternoons in different community businesses on vocational skills. So we have businesses that have partnered with us that let our students come in and they work in that different aspect of that job. So we have students that go to Warm and they stock shelves. They hang clothes at Carrie's Closet for the resale. Decatur Public Library, they restock the books on the shelves. Kemp's Wrecker Service, we have them working on filing. Some of the students have observed the working on the actual equipment and stuff. And then at Fairfield Inn, they're working on, cleaning windows, folding towels, that kind of thing. So just getting them some vocational experience. And then we also have Texas Workforce that comes in 2 days a week and works with them on transitions into vocational areas. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Excuse me. So, I recently had my daughter's ARD meeting. Are we making sure that we have teachers involved in those ARD meetings that actually teach the student?
Yes, that is a requirement, that the teacher that's in the ARD meeting has to have knowledge of the student.
And we're doing that 100% of the time?
To my knowledge, yes. I will reaffirm that and double check with the campus.
Because I'm just curious, because I can't understand if there's teachers involved that don't teach that student, I wouldn't think that would be very.
Right, no, it's
Right.
supposed to be a teacher who has knowledge of that student and works with them.
Okay, and then my second question is, in regards to professional development, how are our teachers being, how, are we doing professional development to help gen ed teachers in the classroom, meet our children where they're at?
Specifically with special education,
Specifically with special ed.
it's very sporadic. It's not something that we consistently do. My focus has been on our special education teachers, making sure that they have the resources and the capacity that they need. A few years ago, we did do some professional development on following an IEP, the legal aspect of following an IEP and providing accommodations, but that's been probably 3 years now since we've done that.
So we haven't done any trainings with the gen ed teachers as a whole
Not
for 3 years?
not on professional development. Now, our campuses do present special education and like the requirements, the expectations.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Terrell? Okay, thank you. With that, we're going to move on to 12D, to the financial information, the Gary Mazinski Show.
Which one do I hit? Right. Okay. I just have something very easy to show you. It's quite interesting. It's something that the superintendent and I have kind of dealt with this week. If you have a house, or if you take all the property that we have, it has a value, a market value. But you don't tax that market value. For example, everyone that has a house, there's an exemption on it, right? Currently, it's $140,000. So if your house were $200,000, you would deduct $140,000 and you'd be taxed $60 on it. This is a mythical example of a $6 billion, which is kind of close to us. And the exemptions, if they add up to $100 million, you would tax at $5.9 billion. And then if you take it by a tax rate of 60 cents, it comes out to about $35,400. This is an interesting thing, and don't worry too much about it, but if you take the exemption to 140, as we did this year per house, the amount that the district is going to tax on is going to be less, because the home values have more exemptions. So if you apply the same tax rate, what happens is you bring in less taxes. And our tax rate actually went down, but this is just an example so I can get to what Ms. Williams and I are dealing with. And so in this particular case, it's about $600,000 less taxes. Now, the state, they don't want you to, they want to give you the same amount of money as you have the year before. So, and they don't want you to raise your taxes. That wasn't the reason that they gave the increased home exemptions, was the districts could then turn around and raise their taxes. And so in order to fill that in both the M&O and IS, they have what's called additional state aid for tax exemption. And then, so they will give the district that amount, the money that's lost, okay? So my point is, as the exemptions go up on the house, and everything else being equal, as a district loses money on both M&O and INS, there will be additional state aid for tax exemption to kind of fill that void. The problem is the exemptions have gone from 15, 25, 40, 100, 140, then the elderly, then blind and disabled. So there's all these exemptions over the last 10 years. You can't see that. It doesn't matter. Those are T values. There's a T1 for the original exemption, a T2 for the next exemption, a T5 for M&O, or for how it affects your debt service. It's like 22 T-values that the state loses, it's getting very complicated for even the best of the best on the state level. And so, the first email we got Saturday night, they slipped it in right after the finals of the basketball, so we weren't paying attention. And it said that the controller has identified certain discrepancies in the data, okay, of this, because it's just so much of it. When I was a kid, when I started, when I was 32, 33, I wrote my own formulas, the whole thing from revenue, everything. You couldn't do it today. It's probably 60 pages of Excel formulas to get the final, the amounts become so complex. But then about 8 o'clock or 8:30, Moke and Casey, that's who I'm referring to. They have some name, Texas School Alliance or something. But anyways, Moke and Casey sends out a letter, and they said that the state is becoming increasingly concerned that the data that's provided basically is duplicating, that they're giving out double exemptions, meaning these are the smartest people in Texas. Moke and Casey, I'll put them right up there, meaning that the situation on these exemptions is getting complex. Now, when I first originally did school finance, I just ignored them because they weren't very much because the exemptions weren't that much. But now, for example, debt service, you're talking $1 million, contributed to a $5 or $6 million payment. It has become a horse in the race. So our summary of finance, when we did it, we didn't rely on anything on the and I'm only talking about the M&O, not worried about the debt service nights. We put in 0, which is, the good news about that is you can't go down any farther below that. We didn't rely on something the state's going to take away. However, in 24-25, after the year was over, after August 31st, that line item, and it's outside of the normal calculations. We gained about $492,000 after the year end closed due to that. In that, what we were talking about, and that is, it would seem to me like that number in theory would go up. And so this is just something to do that as a board member, it's something that you don't really have to worry about. It's kind of an easy thing to end the night, but it is something that we are looking into, because I asked earlier, and maybe in December, I said if we could kind of get to February and March when we kind of get all that T-value, all of our T-value straightened out, we have a little bit firmer, more track. In our budget, revenue and expenditures, we believe is pretty much on track right now. So there's anything there to worry about. But these gyrations from these additional state aid and home projections are certainly a challenge for us. So there's nothing to worry about. It's just, you usually don't get emails on a Saturday night from the Texas Education Agency saying, well, we're not really sure about this, They promise to kind of work it all out and let us know. And as they do, like I say, we can only go up. We didn't put projections out there, and they have to say, well, now they're not going to use them. So we're in a good seat for them, and as they come online, they benefit us, we'll let you know. And if you didn't notice, we did recognize some addition through the amendments today. We did recognize several $100,000 of additional revenue. If you look at that, usually you don't do that during the year. I usually just wait till the end of the year and just throw it all together. But I think this year that's when you had such a deficit, and that you do have some calculations that show some additional revenue. We did throw it out there, to kind of balance the budget. Because otherwise, as you do amendments, your budget can get more negative. If you don't do some revenue, it could get negative, and it may not really be as bad as it looks. So I am the last person between you and dismissal. Are there any general finance questions? Mr. President, thank you very much.
Always appreciated, Mr. Mazinski. Very educational. Thank you. If nothing else, then we will move to item number 13, adjournment, and we are adjourned at 7:34 p.m.